All right, hello everybody. How you doing today? Welcome. Hi. My name is Twintails. Holy shit, I can hear myself. My name is Twintails. Hi. You might know me as a VTuber model rigger. I need to turn my own voice off. I don't want to hear that. Hi. I've rigged and drawn models for VTubers like Shylily and Kenji and Buffpop. And today I'm going to do a little demo for you of Live 2D, how to make a VTuber avatar very quickly from the illustration stage all the way through to the rigging stage and then the exporting stage and putting it into VTube Studio and having it tracked and being able to move around with it like this. The VTuber avatar that I'm going to make for you today isn't going to be as complex as the one you see right now. It's just going to be like a little scuffed up chibi, but I'll narrate as I go along and it'll show you all of the steps involved in making an avatar. Right. This is going to be under 60 minutes. So we're going to have 60 minutes of model making, and then we're going to have a few minutes of Q&A afterwards, where I can answer some questions for you. Alright, so right now we are 47 minutes to the hour. I'm going to show you what I'm going to be using. So the programs I'm going to be using today are Clip Studio Paint for the illustration and Live 2D Cubism Editor for the animation. Clip Studio Paint, if you're not familiar with it, is a painting program, obviously. It's not free, it is a paid program, but you can use any other paint program. Free ones like Medibang Paint Pro. You can use any paint program to make your VTuber avatar, as long as it has a layer function and as long as it can export PSDs. That's the important part. The finished model art has to be in PSD form. Alright, so I've got a canvas here. It's like maybe 2000 by 2000, I think? Yeah, it's 2000 by 2000 pixels. A lot of people ask me, how big does a VTuber model need to be? It really depends how big you want it to be. I usually keep it somewhere between, for full-size models, full body models, I usually keep it somewhere between 4,000 pixels to 8,000 pixels. That's a reasonable range, I think. The higher resolution it is, the more you can zoom in, but it will take a few more resources to render and run on your PC. So if you have kind of like a not so great PC setup that you're streaming from, then you might want to go for a slightly lower resolution model, but it's up to you. All right. So the first thing that I'm going to do on this canvas is I'm going to create a Symmetry tool in Clip Studio Paint. That's this blue icon here. I want a symmetrical ruler. I'm going to place that in the middle of the canvas, like that, so that whatever I draw, I'm going to make this visible in all layers. Whatever I draw is going to be flipped over to the other side. It's going to be mirrored like this. See? So that's a really good way to save time when you're making a VTuber model because they are symmetrical. Actually, I do highly recommend using a symmetrical ruler tool if you have one in your painting program. So we're going to go ahead and make a face for our VTuber model. See? There's a face here. We're going to give it some eyes. And we're going to give it a cute mouth. There you go. Easy. Okay, we're going to split this up into layers in a second, but for now we're just going to draw, what we want our model to look like. I didn't plan this, so we're going to make a fairly, standard looking anime chibi avatar. Wow, that's a very flat of the head. Let's give it like some pigtails or something. Like this. Maybe like a little ahoge. I'm going to turn off the symmetry rule because I don't want this part to be symmetrical. But you can see I've drawn the lines behind the head in there as well. That's fine because it's on a different layer, so we're just going to leave it like that. But we will split off this layer into a separate one. So we've got a layer here for that hair part, we've got layers here for these, and we've got a layer here for that, and this one here. We're going to split this even further in a second. We'll add a little body. There's a little VTuber body, and I think it's looking good. I think it's looking good. You can add whatever details you want on that body. You can give it like a little, like, I don't know, little bow tie. That's not a bow tie. Like this. It's beautiful. It's perfect. It's wonderful. Couldn't be better. And then we'll connect up the top like this, so it's a full piece. I'm going to walk you through these steps very quickly. So if you don't catch everything, that's fine. This is just like to give you a rough idea of like what the process is for making a VTuber model. There's actually a lot of YouTube tutorials out there on Live 2D and how to prepare art for Live 2D. So if you're curious, I do recommend checking those out. I'm going to split the facial features off the face. I'm going to cut and paste those so that we have just the face shape here. And I'm going to color that in. It's going to be super quick. Wow. You can put any colors you want here. Any colors at all. Wow, amazing. Incredible. I'm going to color in these pigtails too. We're going to give her like blue hair or whatever. I think that's nice. I think that's a sensible decision. So she has like the pigtails and the skin tone in there. Next, maybe we want to color in fringe there. Boop. Wow. Amazing. Incredible. It's really coming together. Alright. What color are we going to make this? Oh, let's give her like a red bow tie. It's snazzy. It's very cool. I like that. Maybe like, oh yeah, that's nice, yeah. Alright, we're gonna put the body layer behind the head layer, otherwise it's gonna look weird. There. It's all nicely layered now. Alright, so got the hair there. We want to split left parts from right parts, so I'm going to put these two pigtails on separate layers. Okay. Now this can move freely. So once we're in Live 2D, it'll be able to flap around like this. You can apply physics to it too. It's going to look incredible. Okay. I haven't done the face yet, have I? Like, if you are someone who is not a VTuber and you do want to get into streaming as a VTuber, a lot of people are intimidated by the price of VTuber models. They say, oh yeah, I can't afford that, it's thousands of dollars, I don't have that in my budget. You can get sort of like cheaper models like this, or even free models. It can be really simple just to get you started with streaming. And later on, if you feel like you really like streaming and you do have the budget later, you can always upgrade. But yeah, if you have an interest in streaming, I recommend like giving it a go and just like seeing where it goes and not putting too much money into it at first. Just keeping it very low budget. Wow, these little eye sparkles. It's kind of wanted, yeah. Okay, that's a little uncanny. I'm going to go ahead and erase that. Yeah. Those eyes scare me a little bit. It's fine. fine. Okay. God, they're like staring into my soul. Well, we have, oh, put that on the wrong layer. I'm going to cut that shading off the eyes. That's an unfortunate way to phrase it, but there you go. I'm going to merge these. Alright, so for VTuber models, the inside of the mouth needs to be illustrated as well as like the outside shape. So we're going to make a bottom lip here. We're going to add a bottom lip to the model, and we're going to add the color for the inside of the mouth. Like that. And then we're going to add like a tongue. The model needs a tongue. It's essential. Just like that. Cute. That was really cute. I'm going to make the inside of the mouth like a little bit darker. It's easier to see. There. Wonderful. How are we doing for time? It's been what, 10 minutes? Great. Wow, it's zooming through. Okay. So one thing that happens with VTuber models is that because there's separate parts for the inside and outside of the mouth, sometimes you may see that you may see the inside of the mouth like move a little outside of the lip lines. So to prevent that from showing, we want to add like basically like layers of color on the outside of the mouth that cover up like the outside edges, just to make sure that it doesn't show any of this inside mouth color leaking through. Man, I haven't labeled any of my layers. I should go ahead and do that. That's pretty important, I think, for VTuber models to label everything properly, keep it organized. I'm gonna call this upper lip. That's the upper lip there. This one is the tongue layer. That's the inner mouth layer. This one's the face layer there. I'm going to go ahead and merge that one so it's one part, the color and the line. This one is the lower lip layer. We want to put the lower lip layer below the upper lip layer. And we're going to color in the outside parts of the lips. So just below this upper lip layer, I'm going to put a bit of color on the edge of the lips. It's blue right now so that I can see it better, but I'm going to recolor it so that it's the same color as the skin, so you basically can't see it, but it's here. Now if I merge that with the upper lip layer, we have this. That's what it's going to look like. Now I'll do the same with the lower lip. I'm going to add color on the outside. Doesn't matter if it's not so neat, because it shouldn't be shown. It should be like basically invisible. It's just there to prevent any of the side of the mouth leaking out. Right, over there. I think this model is missing something. It needs like a little bit of, like, this. Like, yeah. A little bit of blush in it. Let's add just like the color in the cheeks. Wow, so cute. Amazing. Soft blush. If you want to add like any details, you can, but for the purposes of this demonstration, it's going to be quick and ugly looking. Just like me. Okay, now we're going to merge layers so that it's all flattened and ready to go. So the pieces, the line art and the color is merged. And we're going to name everything. part is the hoge, the extra hair. Oh, caps lock on. What's this layer? Oh, it's the blush. This is why you're gonna name things. Label your layers. Whenever I haven't labeled layers, I have later regretted it. A lot of Live 2D riggers will tell you to, when you split your layers into left and right, they'll tell you to name them left and right and all that. Usually I don't do that for my own models because I can't tell left from right, but it's a good practice. So this one, it's on your right-hand side, but for VTuber models, the left and the right side is flipped. So you'll name layers according to whether they're on the models, from the model's perspective, whether they're on the left and right side. So it's like flipped from your perspective. So this one is going to be labeled the left eye. So I'm going to call it IL. The other eye there, I'm going to be calling IR. Actually, you know what? I changed my mind about the eyes. I'm just going to make them solid black. The abyss stares into you. Alright. Nice. We're nearly ready to go. What else do we have here? We've got the face layer. We've got this one is the pigtail left layer, pigtail L layer. That one's the pigtail R layer. And then we've got the body layer at the bottom. And that's basically it. That's basically done. Wow. I'm going to center this. I'm going to get rid of the layers that I don't need. I don't need this background layer, so background's going to be transparent. Because when you're streaming as a VTuber, you probably don't want like a little rectangle of background behind you. That would be strange. Yeah. I'm going to save this model. I'm going to save it as a PSD. I'm going to call it, should be demo.psd. Very good. And so that's the first step, that's the first stage. Once the model art is done, we move on to the rigging. Super easy, super clean. I have Live 2D ready to go here. And I'm gonna show you. Ta-da! This is Live 2D. This is Live 2D Cubism Editor 4.1.04. This is not the newest version, but it'll do. So Live 2D is a program with a free and a paid version. So when you first get Live 2D, you will get a 40-day free trial of the pro version of Live 2D with all of the features in it. Then after 40 days, it will revert to the basic free version, which has some limits on the number of features. So if you're looking to make just one VTuber model and you just want to try out the software, then you can try that 40-day free trial. And you can just see what you can do in like 40 days. I think it's a rather generous amount of time actually to try out the program. So it's free real estate. And give it a go. Alright, so to import the model, all I have to do is drag and drop the PSD onto the program. And I have to wait for it to import. And there we go. There it is. We can see the chibi. It's beautiful. My child, my baby. Okay, I'm not going to make it weird, I'm sorry. We have all the parts. You can like drag and move them around. There's probably something that I haven't split properly in this model, but it's fine, we can work around that. Now, you can see like a little box around all of the parts. It's got like 4 points, 1 point in each corner. That is the art mesh for each piece. So the art mesh is how each piece is deformed in Live 2D, how you make it move basically. So if I drag this around, you can see the part like warping. At the moment, this art mesh for the part is extremely simple, so I can't make the part move very much We're gonna change that by actually adding a mesh for this. So this button up the top here that says auto, this is the auto mesh button. This is the auto mesh button. Oh, hold on. I should show you my desktop, shouldn't I? So that you can see all the boxes that appear. Let's see. This couldn't possibly go wrong. Okay, there we go. This is... Let me resize the window a little bit so you can see that better. There we go. Alright, you should be able to see everything now. Okay, that's the auto mesh generator dialog box here. That was a lot of words, but this will make your auto mesh for you. So you choose a preset there, and it'll generate a mesh for you. You can change the density of the mesh. You can make it less dense, or you can make it more dense. If it's more dense, you can deform the part more finely. If it's less dense, it won't deform as finely, but you'll probably get better performance out of it. So with this, you can see now I can move each individual point to warp it. Usually I wouldn't go in and move each individual point, but you know, I'm just showing you. This is what it does. Alright, so I've got pigtails there. I'm gonna go ahead and select all of the parts in the model, and I'm gonna give them all an auto mesh all at the same time. So I just go back and click that box up there, auto, and I'm gonna choose standard, and it'll give them all a mesh. It's very quick, and it's good for beginners, you know. For my models that I do for commissions, I hand mesh. I place all of these points manually, but for when you're starting out with Live 2D, just to make it easier, it's nice to just have this auto meshing feature. Alright, so I could go in and I could like do that. Alright, what are we going to do first? So to control all of these meshes, if we wanted to control more than one mesh at a time, we would put them inside these things called deformers, which would control how all of these parts move all at the same time. So if I wanted to have the head rotating, like swinging around on the neck, that sounds weird, but if I wanted to have the whole head rotate, I would put all of the head parts inside one deformer, and then I would rotate the deformer. So we're going to select all of those parts on the head, and the eye parts and the mouth parts. It'd be a bit easier to do this in the list here. The deformer and part list there. This is the part list. The tongue, the lower lip, the blush, the upper lip, everything except the body basically. I'm going to stick these inside a rotation deformer. This button up here, oh, I gotta show it. Let me move this down. There we go. So you can see the top. Alright, so up here, slightly across from the auto mesh button is the rotation deformer button. I'm going to click that and I'm going to create. This will give me this little red rotation deformer, and I can drag this handle to spin it around. So this is, as you can see, this is a perfectly natural head movement. This is exactly what you want. Actually, you know what? I'm going to move the pivot point. Okay, so if I hold down Control, I can move this pivot point wherever I want. I'm going to put it here at the neck, so that we have a slightly nicer head movement. And we can create a really cute, simple VTuber avatar, just a few things like this. Okay, I'm waiting for time. We're like 10 minutes past the hour. When did I start? Like maybe like 45 minutes? 45 minutes past the hour. I don't remember anymore. I don't remember things. Okay, so now that we have the ability to make this move, we want to make it move with tracking. We want it to be able to be tracked. So we're going to do that by going to this parameter list here. It's got a whole lot of parameters on this list, like IL open, IL smile, eyeball X, eyeball Y. brows, body movement, breath movement. The angle X, Y, and Z parameters here are the ones that control the head movement. So X movement would be side to side like this, like a shaking your head. Angle Y movement is up and down, like nodding. And then angle Z is tilting your head like this. So those are the three axes of movement that you have in Live 2D. So because this is tilting the head, I'm going to map this to the angle Z parameter here. I'm going to put keyforms on this parameter, so when it goes up and down, this will also move together with that. So with this rotation deformer selected, I'm going to press this button, which will add some keyforms, so we can animate it. We can animate the avatar. So this is the default state here in the middle. If we drag this all the way to the right, then we can move this like that. So now you can see as I drag this, it'll animate. And it'll interpolate between the keyforms. Nice. We want it to move the other direction as well. So we can drag it like that. So when I'm here on this keyform, I would just like drag it there, and it'll do that. However, if I wanted it to be completely symmetrical, if I wanted the movement to be completely symmetrical, I would go over to this keyform and reflect the motion, like that. So it would automatically make the movement symmetrical on both sides of the parameter. If Live 2D is new to you and this is a lot of words, that's absolutely okay. I do recommend having a look at some YouTube tutorials after the convention if you're interested, and hopefully those can give you a better start. If you find this interesting, then yeah, give it a go. Some good tutorial creators on YouTube are Kira Omori and Brian Sui. They both have really great YouTube tutorials for Live 2D. Right, so our model can move like this now, but what else do we want to do? We maybe want to make the model's head turn as well, like on the x-axis like that. So, which parts would be turning? Again, the head. Inside this rotation deformer for the head, I'm going to select the fringe, all of the facial features, the face, all of those. And I'm going to use a different type of deformer to control the movement of these parts. So I'm not going to use a rotation deformer this time because that's not going to give me the movement that I want, like side to side. I'm going to use a warp deformer instead. I'm going to label it face X, because it's controlling the X movement of the face. This button up here is the create warp deformer button right next to the rotation deformer button. And as you can see, it's giving me this box here. And when I move it around, it moves around the parts inside of it. But that's not all. I can move these green handles here, and it'll deform everything inside as well. That's something that the rotation deformer can't do. But see, it looks like she's looking in different directions now. Okay, so to animate the movement, I'm going to go back to the parameters list here. I'm going to find the angle X there at the top. I'm going to add my keyforms so that I can key the movement. So when this is at 30 here on the right, she'll be looking to the right. So all I have to do is drag this. And then I can adjust the handles here a little bit, the green handles, to give it like a smoother deformation. Yeah. Now she's looking to the right. I'm going to reflect that motion so she can also look to the left as well. Ta-da! Okay, now we have two kinds of motion. She's not looking up and down yet though, so we're going to go back to that face X deformer. We're going to also add a keyform here on the angle Y parameter, which is the up and down nodding head motion. I'm going to add those green keyforms there, and when I drag this up, she is going to look upwards. Easy. When I drag this down, she's going to look downwards. Like that. Now, we have a problem. When I drag this over to the right, and I also drag angle Y over to the right like that, you can see that the head no longer moves up and down. That's because the computer doesn't know, the program doesn't know how to combine these two axes of movement. Unless there was a handy button for combining them automatically. Oh my goodness, it couldn't be, but there is. If we go to this little hamburger menu in the corner here, there is an option called Synthesize Corners. This will make it automatically combine those two parameters at the extremes. So she'll be able to look up and to the side at the same time. So like diagonally, basically. We'll synthesize corners. And now, when her head moves all the way to the side, it can also move up and down. There we go. Synthesize corners. If the synthesis looks weird at the corner, then you can always adjust it manually yourself. You can like adjust the keyform yourself so that it looks more natural to you. There we go. You can adjust it however you think it should look. Right. So when the head's turning, I think we also want the pigtails to move, right? At the moment, the pigtails are inside of one rotation deformer, this one. So when the head rotates, we want to keep that movement. So the next deformer we add is going to be inside this rotation deformer, but outside of the pigtail deformers, outside of the pigtail meshes. That's right. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and select a pigtail, and I'm going to give it its own rotation deformer. Up there's the button for rotation deformers. Click that. Let's cycle this pigtail. It'll generate a rotation deformer there, but that's not where we want it to be, because that's going to make the pigtail move from the wrong pivot point. So we'll move that over here instead, because that's where we want the pigtail to rotate from. I'm going to press down Control, and I'm going to drag this over there. So the pivot point is there. Now when we rotate it, does it from here, at the base of the pigtail. We're going to do the same thing for the other pigtail. Pigtail R. Whoops. I pressed a button. Whoops. Okay. Okay, this one gets dragged up here as well. Hold down Control, drag it, and drop it in place. Okay. So, when the head is turning, we want these pigtails to also move. I'm going to add keyforms on the X parameter, and I'm going to drag these slightly to the right. So when the head turns, these will move as well. And I'm going to do the other side. There. Oh God, I'm so sorry if my voice is hoarse. It is the morning for me, because I live in Australia, and I don't usually wake up this early. I'm a night owl. I'm a bat, a nighttime creature. My deepest apologies. Alright, we want the ahoge to also stick to the head when it moves up and down. So we're going to give that a rotation deformer as well. A little hair flick. Going to move the pivot point here to the base of the head. So it can move like that. And when the head moves up and down on angle Y, we want it to be keyed to that parameter. And then we're going to move it up and down. Easy. Looking good. Now, this is the head movement so far. This only moves up and down, so we probably want to move it from side to side too. Let's go to the angle X parameter, add keyforms, and then drag it. Alright, so again we're going to run into that problem where the corners of the movement haven't been generated. So when the model looks to the side and up, this doesn't move into the right place. See? So again, we're going to press the button Synthesize Corners here in the hamburger menu. And there, it automatically generates the corners. Sometimes I make these little chibi models, just like for fun. I call them my little scuffed chibi models. And they always look very janky, but I think that's part of the charm. Right, we've got all the head movement down now. We want facial animation as well, so expressions, we want the mouth to open and close, we want the eyes to blink. So, I'm going to select those eyes. And just below all of these angle parameters here for angle X, Y, and Z, we have the ones for eyes and the ones for the mouth there as well. So we'll go to these IL open. So if you remember what I said earlier, on the model, the left side is actually our right side. So this one is actually the model's left eye. So IL open will control the model's blinking on the left side, on the left eyeball. On the right eyeball, it doesn't. It's fine. You know what? It's fine. I'm going to add keyforms on either side of this parameter. The default state for eyes is at the number 1, the value 1 goes all the way over to this side because eyes only open and close. Whereas for like head movement, it stays like in the middle because that's like facing forward is the default. For eye open, you wouldn't want it in the middle because that would mean that the eyes are like half closed. They're like halfway between the open and closed. You wouldn't really want that as a default. So the default is open. We want to create a shape for the closed eyes. So all the way on the left side of the parameter, when the value is 0, we want the eyes to look closed. There. For a chibi model, that's a sufficient blink. It's really cute. Am I allowed to say that? Okay. So we have the left eye blinking, now we want the right eye blinking too. So we're going to do the same thing for the right eye. So when the parameter is all the way over to the left side here at the value 0, we want this to be closed. She's blinking at you, she's winking at you. Wow! Alright. That's the eyes. Beautiful, wonderful. Next we have the mouth. Wow, I still have plenty of time left. Yeah, we can make this like amazingly polished. The mouth. So, earlier I showed you how to create an automatic mesh for the mouth and all the other parts, but the auto mesh probably isn't going to be sufficient for the mouth because we want the mouth has like very fine movements, very specific movements, and if we just use this automatic mesh here, it's not going to be fine enough to create nice shapes from the lips. So as you can see, it's like it's going to look all jagged like this. It's going to look weird. It's going to look weird and fucked up. Well, it's not that bad, but we probably want some nicer movement from this. So we're going to edit the mesh on the outside of the mouth. So if we're sticking to auto mesh, then we could just change the values in the auto mesh boxes here. So right now this is a standard auto mesh. If we change the values here and we make it finer, we can get some more points on the edges of the lips. We can like shrink the outside of the mesh. We can expand the inside of the mesh like that. I could make this like extremely densely meshed, but that's probably not necessary either. Okay. Usually I would go in and hand mesh this and just like remove any points that are unnecessary and stuff, but for today's demo, you know what? It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I'm not crying. It's fine. So now we can move this around and it can look pretty smooth. It can move like very finely. We're going to key this upper mouth and the bottom mouth to the mouth open parameter here. This parameter here. Just going to create a denser mesh for the bottom part of the lip. There we go. Wow, that's too many points. It's fine. So I'm going to select both parts, the upper lip and the lower lip, and I'm going to put keyforms here. The default state for the mouth is closed on models. On VTuber models, the default is closed. Because I've drawn the mouth open, we're just going to like warp this to create the closed mouth shape, which will be down at value 0 on the mouth open parameter. Again, really apologize if this is like a lot of words taken at once. Alright, so we're going to like drag and deform these parts to wherever we want to, wherever we need to put them to make the mouth look natural when it's closed. So usually I drag the upper lip down a bit and I'd move the bottom lip upwards. I'm going to add one of these to follow the lip line. This tool is the Deform Path Edit tool. It'll create a little line wherever we want it, and when we select the selection tool and drag around these points, it'll kind of like smoothly drag around the rest of the mesh, which is very handy. Right, now we're going to make that closed mouth shape by dragging this into place. Like, you could go and move each of these points individually by hand, but that's probably not going to give you the result that you want. So I'm going to use tools like this to move everything at once, and it'll look nice and smooth. So that lower lip is tucked underneath the upper lip now. And when we move the parameter up and down, or side to side, the mouth will open and close. Now, if you see a little pink thing here, that is the tongue peeking out. That's the tongue part peeking out because the skin layer here doesn't cover that. If we want it to be covered, then we can drag these points over to cover them, or we can push in the tongue so that it's like inside there. But I'm going to drag the skin out. I'm going to use a little brush tool here to drag these over skin layer over to cover up the inside of the mouth so it doesn't show. Now there we go. We have a nice lip flap. Nice lip flap for the model. A bit of the lip is looking all jagged here because the mesh that I created was kind of like messed up. But I can sort of fine tune it a bit to make it look a bit better. There, tucked in. There we go. That's all the basic movements for the VTuber avatar. It's got blinking, it's got the mouth opening and closing. It's got like the head moving on all the axes. So there, at this point, I think that's really like all you'd need for a basic starter avatar. Like if you're just making something really simple for your first avatar, I think this is like pretty much sufficient, but you can make it fancier if you want. We've still got more time, so I can still make it a bit fancier. I can add different shapes for the mouth. So when I make an oo sound, like oo, oo, my mouth will like be more of a O shape. And then when I say E, well, it'll be a different shape, and ah, you know what I mean? Like vowels and stuff. Yeah, vowels. Okay, not just like open and close, but like also different mouth shapes. So that is controlled by this parameter here, the mouth form parameter. That'll make the mouth go from smiling to like more of an oo shape. So the default that we have here was smiling, so we're going to have to create the more neutral mouth and the sad mouth, or like the oo mouth. We're going to put those keyforms here on the mouth form parameter for both the upper lip and the lower lip. And then we're going to just drag them into place and create that mouth. I'm going to put one of these little lines up there so we can deform top lip easily. And drag it wherever. There, so it goes from smiling to like a more neutral mouth. We also want the inside of the mouth to like stay inside the lines, so we're going to move that too. I'm going to key it to both the mouth open and the mouth form parameters. Then I'm just going to drag it until it's in the right place with this paint tool. Oh geez. Program freeze for a second. Froze. It's not able to handle the immense burden of streaming. Okay. Now it's in the right place. But we also have to create the oo shape next. So the neutral shape, the smiling shape, and then the oo shape should go here at mouth form -1. I like to create like a little triangle shape for that. A little triangle mouth. Right, we're going to need to bunch this in. Give the triangle mouth. Like that. I'm going to fine tune it just a little bit. By dragging the individual points. There we go. See, the lines do look a little bit creased now. The lines do look like a little bit creased. That's why you probably want a much nicer mesh than this, but you know what? Can't have it all. You got limited time, gotta make do. Alright. We're going to, again, move the inside of the mouth in so that it doesn't show. Like that. So now we have a couple of mouth shapes. We can smile and we can frown. But there's more. There's more that we have to do. It's not done yet. We have to make the shapes of the mouth when the mouth is closed as well. So when the mouth is closed, at the moment we only have a smiling mouth, even if we drag this up and down. So we need to create those shapes as well. We're going to make the smiling mouth a bit more smiley. Like that. We don't want that showing there. So it's a bit more smiley. And then we'll make it frown at the other end of the mouth form parameter there. So when the mouth is like that, as it's open, when it closes, we want a similar sort of shape. Except this time it'll be closed. That, except without the mouth leaking out. There. Let's see if that worked. Oh, you can see the inside of the mouth peeking. Probably want to move this up so it covers the inside. That's the mesh for the inside of the mouth there. There. That's good. Now we have the full range of mouth movement. You can smile and talk and frown and all of those things. Ooh, I see a little bit of mouth peeking out. Let's tuck that in. There. So the inside of the mouth is always covered. The neater you do everything, the easier it'll be to clean things up later. So if you do everything roughly like I do, then you'll probably have issues like this. See, when it transitions from different mouth shapes, like a little bit of the inside of the mouth is showing there. To make sure it doesn't happen. Okay, I think it's good now though. I think it's good now. We've got what, 10 more minutes left on the clock? I think we're doing good. The model's basically done. But, you know what? Could give it a few bits of physics. Could add some physics to the model, you know? Could add some body movement to the model even. We can make the model bounce. We can make it bouncy and cute. Let's do that. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a warp deformer for the body so that I can make it bounce around. I'm going to label it body. So I'll be able to make this body squash and stretch. I'm actually going to create a new parameter to control the bouncing movement because the default list of parameters doesn't have anything for bounciness, so I have to create my own. Let's just like this button here, new parameter. I'm going to label it bounce. The minimum it'll go to is -30 and the maximum is 30. That's the range of movement. The actual numbers here don't matter too much, but it's symmetrical, which is good. So we're going to create that bouncy movement for the body. When it goes to 30, I'm going to make the body go up, and I'm going to make it narrower. When it goes to -30, I'm going to make the body squish down and then make it wider. So we have this bouncy look. This is like just the principles of animation, you know, squash and stretch. We want the total mass to like look like it's still the same, but we want the shape to be different. So squishy. Oh, again, we have a problem. The head is detaching from the body. That's generally not ideal, so we're going to fix that. All we have to do is we have to drag this rotation deformer, which contains the whole head, inside of that warp deformer, which controls the body. And so the hierarchy will make it so that when this deformer moves, the warp deformer moves, it'll carry the head along with it. Like that. This is what the hierarchy of deformers is for. You can nest deformers inside of each other so that the top deformers have influence on the bottom deformers. So this body deformer is at the top. It also controls this head rotation deformer, which is below it, inside of it. Now we have squishy bouncy movement. We need to make it work with physics. We need to plug it into the physics engine. We do that by going to the physics window. I need to show you guys the rest of my screen. There, let's stop my screen. You can see the menus at the top now. Alright, so at the top we have the modeling menu. Wait, you can't see? Oh my gosh. Alright, let me move it again. I have this automatically cropped for my streams, so I don't usually show everything in my streams, but I'll show you guys. Alright, this menu here, the modeling menu. Down at the bottom of the modeling menu, we have the open physics and scene blending settings. That's where we set up all the physics for the model. So if you want hair to move around, swish around, if you want ears to like wiggle, if you want anything on the model to move that isn't directly tracked, you control that using physics. So if I click onto this window and drag my cursor around, you can see that the model looks at the cursor. It'll also give you a preview of what the physics will look like. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to add a new physics group. That's this button here, add. I'm going to name it bounce. You can select input presets and physics presets here. We're going to try out head input because we want the bounciness to be controlled by the head movement. And we'll try one of these presets here. Let's try short hair preset. It doesn't have to actually control hair. This preset is labeled hair, but you can use it for anything really. Alright. Now we have tabs in the menu here, in the window, the input settings and the output settings. The input settings are the parameters like X, Y, and Z, angle X, Y, and Z, like the head movement. You can see the input. Some inputs have already been pre-filled here. These are the default ones because we selected the preset. Let's have the bounciness controlled by angle Y, and we get rid of these body ones for now, just to make it simpler. Have the bounciness controlled by angle Y and angle Z. So when you move your head on the Y-axis up and down, or when you move it, when you tilt your head, that's what will make the model bounce. In the output settings tab, we're going to put that bounce parameter we created. And we're going to set the scale to like 50. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. So now, as you can see, when I drag the cursor around, the body also bounces. How cute is that? You can see the pendulum here, the physics pendulum is moving. And that's controlling the type of movement that we have, type of physics. If we wanted the movement to be like not quite so bouncy, we could set the scale of the movement lower, set it to like 20, so that it bounces a bit less. But we're going to have it at 50, because I think that's a good amount. Physics is like, physics in Live 2D is a whole topic. So it's not something that I think I can cover in 60 minutes, but we can just like have a little bit of physics in the model. All right, So the model is basically ready. It's basically ready to go, and just on time too. So we're going to export this model. Let me quickly turn this back on, turn off desktop capture, and I'm going to save the model. Let's see. I'm going to save it here. I'm going to make a little folder for when I export it. Alright, so to export the model, you go to the File menu and Export for Runtime. You want the export as MOC3 file. Okay, so I'm going to hide my desktop while I do that because I don't want to show all my files. And I'm going to export. Oh, wait, I forgot something. There's something I forgot. Okay, so it's telling me that I need to generate a texture atlas. You can see if I click export, saying invoke after texture atlas is generated. That slipped my mind. Okay, we need a texture atlas for this model. Texture atlas is just, it's just an image that contains all of the parts of the model. So this button here is for creating a texture atlas. This button right next to the mesh editing buttons. You can let the program auto-generate our atlas. So you just click the one button and it's done. There it is. And you just confirm. Okay, that was the last step before we export. I'll now export for runtime. Export as MOC3 file. And we have the dialog box. I'm going to export for SDK 4.0. Make sure you export the physics settings. And okay. Sorry, I'm just turning my desktop capture on and off. Sorry about that. Right, give me a second to save this and export. Okay. Now what will happen once you export it is it'll generate a number of files. It'll have a little folder with your texture atlas inside. It'll have your JSON files and your MOC3 files. To use those in a tracking program, you want to take the folder that they're in. I'm going to call it chibi_VTS. I'm going to take that whole folder and you want to put it inside the directory of the tracking program that you're using. Mine is VTube Studio, so I'm going to put that inside my VTube Studio file directory. I'm just going to paste that in there. And now it should be ready to use. Let's give it a try. Give me just one moment. If I've done this correctly, it should show up in the list of models that I have in VTube Studio. Whoops. You didn't hear nothing. All right. So now that I've selected the model in VTube Studio, it's asking me whether I want to run an auto setup. That's fine, I'm just going to auto setup. And there we go. Ta-da! There! Easy, right? Super simple, making a VTuber avatar in 1 hour. Look at that. Amazing. So quick, so easy. And it like, tracked. I have mouth movements, I have blinking. You can move my head like in all directions. It's great. Love it. I hope you liked this demo. It's okay if you didn't understand everything, because I did go through it really quickly. There was a lot to take in. But if you did find it interesting, then I encourage you to try out Live2D. It's free to start, and it's pretty fun. It's nice to be able to animate things. Yeah, I like it. So we're going to have some Q&A time for the rest of the panel. If you want to ask me any questions, you can. One of the staff members will be able to tell you how you can do that, because I'm not quite sure. But yeah, if you've got any questions, I'll be happy to take.
Next questions will be smoothest, but we can ask
Let
questions
me just set everything up. Set up my windows. Ta-da! I'm just going to be this chippy for the rest of the panel. I like it.
Just say hello and
I like
confirm.
it.
I don't know how bad the ping is.
I hope you enjoyed the panel.
Hello, I have a question.
All right.
It might be one. Australia. So, just wait.
Oh, it looks like we do have some questions in the Discord.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
How long have you been up doing this?
Oh, there's a bit of lag. Oh dear. You can go ahead and ask. How long have I been doing this? I've been rigging models for only about a little over a year now. Sorry for all the lag. Yeah, I'm in Australia. I'm pretty far away. Sorry about that. My bad. I've been doing this for a little over a year. I started rigging models in January of 2021. So that's a little bit of time, not too long. I've been drawing since I was quite young though.
Go ahead, I guess.
I just wanted to ask, I know there's a delay and stuff, but I just wanted to ask where, say I want to be able to do like my own VTube model and like rigging, and I know rigging is like usually, I would say
Step on up.
most people would probably be saying that rigging takes the most time. What would you say is the most difficult part in rigging that people who want to learn how to rig should kind of prioritize?
Okay, so the most difficult part of rigging that people who want to learn should prioritize. All right, so I think the most important part is probably just learning how things should look when they move around. So take, for example, the face of an anime character, right? You want to be able to tell when it looks correct and when it looks kind of off. So it's worth, if you don't have any experience with drawing, it's worth having a look into just like anatomy, having a look into some how to draw guides, just to get a sense of like how anime faces are usually drawn. If it's your goal to create an anime avatar, of course, some people might want to create like other styles. But other than that, I think the most difficult part, once you've got the sort of like look of the avatar down, the most difficult part would be physics. That does take a while to master in Live 2D. I don't think I've done it yet, but yeah, that's probably the most difficult.
Anyone else want to try?
Somebody in the Discord asked, what are some of the pros and cons of 2D and 3D VTubing? I think that with 3D VTubing, definitely one of the pros is being able to do VR and having that full body tracking for your model. In 2D, I think you can create, you can decide exactly how the model moves. So in 2D, you have more control over the motion, and you can make everything just right. So I think that's one of the advantages of 2D. I can take another question from the audience, if you have any. Do you prefer to rig and draw for a person or one over the other? So you're asking whether I prefer rigging or drawing, or rigging and drawing? So I think I prefer rigging. I like to rig more than I like to draw. Drawing for me can be like a bit painful because I always have a lot of self-doubt. But once I have drawn and rigged a model, if I've done both for somebody, then I do feel like a sense of pride about that. But drawing is the harder part. Dodo asked, what specifically do you like about rigging models, and do you happen to be a perfectionist? I am most definitely a perfectionist, like 100%. I try too hard. I don't know when to let go. And what do I specifically like about rigging models? It's therapeutic. I feel like rigging in Live 2D is, I think it's not as difficult as people often make it out to be, but it is very tedious. It can be very tedious. There's a lot to do. There's a lot that you have to work out in Live 2D. So I think that can kind of be therapeutic if you kind of like tune out and just like get into a flow state while you're working. I think that's nice. Of course, having the finished product is also like, it's also a nice part of it. What is some of the most impressive rigging detail you've seen? Have you all seen the model that the art gun made for Vebe recently? That was, man, godlike, incredible. Neon Beat and art gun made a model. So amazing. My jaw fell off. Alright, that's all the questions from Discord. Could you type out the channel names of the tutorials you mentioned near the beginning? Sure. There's Brian Sui and Kira Omori. Right, I've typed those into Discord. What's something that you wish you knew when you started making models? What's something I wish I knew when I started making models? Well, I don't know. I don't really think much. I don't know. I don't think I have an answer for that question. Kind of learn as you go, like you don't really need to know everything from the get-go. You can definitely just like keep making things, and you'll get better each time you make things. Obviously, that's pretty obvious. I'm sorry. Alright. Oh, we have more questions coming in from the Discord. What sorts of tracking inputs can one use when rigging, and how many? So at the moment, there's a set list of tracking inputs for VTube Studio. It varies from tracking program to tracking program. So for VTube Studio, you can check the list of inputs for the program on its manual. There's a manual there's like documentation for it, which will tell you. And there's different inputs that you can have for iPhone rigging iPhone tracking versus webcam tracking. And then there are also plugins for VTube Studio at the moment, which expand the number of things you can have as inputs. So for example, there are plugins which allow you to have like Xbox controllers as an input. So your Xbox controller can control parts of your model. For example, if you wanted to have an Xbox controller on your model. So there's actually quite a long list of things that you can use to control a VTuber model, like your tongue. So if you have iPhone tracking, your tongue can be tracked, which is a little bit crazy, but how did you get introduced to rigging in the first place? Just by being in the VTuber sphere, I guess. I saw people making Live 2D models, and I knew a couple people who did make VTuber models, like Kira Omori and my friend Cayman Poole. They both did Live 2D rigging, so I kind of got into that from seeing other people do it. But before I started Live 2D rigging, I was a Vroid maker. So if you're familiar with Vroid, it's like a free program for making like 3D models, like 3D VTuber avatars. I used to do commissions for customizing V-Ray models for people, so it was a pretty natural slide from like 3D into 2D when I started doing 2D VTuber commissions. Oh, my mouth is so dry. I'm going to take a sip of water just a second. Oh, how much time do we have left? Oh, I think we're pretty much at the end of the panel, aren't we? Dang, it's been good. I hope you got some useful information from it. I can maybe answer like one more question. Do people who rig models often come up with new techniques/shortcuts for rigging faster or doing cool physics? And how do you try to keep up with it all? Yeah, I think they do actually. I know quite a lot of live 2D riggers now, and they're all doing their own experimentations. They're all their own little experimentations with rigging. So they all have their own little techniques and ways for doing things, the little tips and tricks. It's quite interesting to learn about. I think I kind of find it difficult to keep up with sometimes because there's a lot of information and there's a lot of people doing new interesting stuff. I often don't have the time to like learn all of it, but it's nice to just talk to other people who do live 2D rigging and sort of share some fun features that you might have discovered in the program. Oh, 15 minutes, we got 15 minutes? Oh dang, I can answer some more questions. Anybody got anything to ask? If nobody has anything to ask, I'm just gonna see myself out. I'm just gonna say see ya. Bye. Bye. Thanks for coming. I'll see you guys. I can see some people typing in the Discord. I'll wait. No, don't clap. Don't clap. No, please. We have 15 minutes. It's too early. No, please. In terms of learning rigging, would you say the learning curve is huge or time-consuming? I think that live 2D is pretty easy to get into. I think if you're sticking to like basic stuff, it's not too difficult to get into. The learning curve, I wouldn't say it gets too steep. I think like you can just like pace yourself pretty much learning new stuff. I think it's fine. Time consuming, yes, it's like hugely time consuming. Some live 2D riggers will spend months working on one model. For me, is a question I get asked pretty frequently is how long does it take to make a live 2D model? It depends on the model, but usually I kind of plan for about 10 days on rigging, 10 days on art and 10 days on rigging, so it does take quite some time. I can finish a model in like 3 days if it's simple and I'm really, really pushing for it, but most models will take a bit longer. Do you work on several models at a time or do them sequentially? I like to work on several models at a time. At the moment, I juggle maybe like 5 models at a time, which is, okay, maybe that's a bit more than is ideal. But I do like to have several models that I can work on because I feel like it helps with kind of keeping my mind fresh. Like if I get kind of tired of working on one thing, I can swap over to a different thing. And I think if you have issues with stress or burnout, I think having something else to work on can be helpful. Also, if you have ADHD. Yeah. I can still see like a few people typing in the Discord. I see you. I see you. Ooh. I think once I finish the panel, I'm gonna take a big fat nap. 10 a.m. is too early to be awake. Feel me? Simply too early to be awake. From all the models you've worked on, which one has been the most difficult to do? I feel like the general trend for the models that I've been working on is that they've been getting more and more difficult each time. But one that stands out to me, I think, was a model that I made for Merriweather. So if you know Merriweather, he's a comic creator. He's a comic writer, and I rigged a couple of models for him. The most complicated one was his maid model because it actually had a very long list of toggles. So toggles are what can make a VTuber model extremely complicated. He has like 6 sets of arms, different arm poses that he can do with that maid model. It is insane. It's just a lot of arms. It's a lot of arms. But I'm really happy with how that one turned out though. I think it turned out well. How many commission requests do you normally accept at a time, and how did you arrive at that number? Is that more of your requests than when you started? So I accept more requests now than when I started. The demand for them is much higher than when I started. Barely anybody wanted my models at first. So how many do I accept at a time? I do have a wait list going. In any given month, I'll try and plan for 3 commission slots. Usually I end up accepting more than that, which is not ideal, but there are some projects which I have a really hard time turning down because they look so fun, you know? They look like so much fun to rig that I can't say no. Or they're for friends or stuff, you know? So I usually stuff my schedule full. Not a good habit. I should probably dial back on that, but you know, it'd be how it be. So yeah, maybe like 3 a month. And then at the moment, I've got commissions booked until December, I think. So that's quite a lot of VTuber models. My commissions won't be publicly open for some time. At the moment, my priority is on keeping some slots open for my returning commissioners because I want them to not be stranded and left without a rigger. Yeah, so I give priority to returning commissioners, returning clients. I think the Art Gun talked about this before on Twitter, but when you accept any new clients, they become your returning clients later, and it can kind of compound how busy you are if you take on too many new clients at once, because they will probably come back for more later. Conrad asks, in terms of toggles, are the animations some VTubers have, i.e. Vebe, Zipper, are somewhat take the longest in rigging? What? What? Do the animations take the longest when you're rigging? I believe that Vebe's Zipper is tracked instead of an animation, instead of like a pre-made animation. But yeah, I think you're right. Toggles can take quite a long time to set up. anything outside of like the standard tracking can take some time. It depends what it is. Little things like having floating stickers on the model, like if you have like a little heart sticker next to the face or whatever, that'll take no time at all to rig. But if you wanted extra sets of arms, say for the model, or like a pet for the model, things like that can take quite a long time, yeah. But of course it depends from project to project. Okay. By the way, guys, can you hear the background music? Do you like it? It was a custom BGM that somebody made for me. It's groovy, right? Dodo asks in the Discord, why bats? Why bats? I ask myself that every day. Every morning I wake up and ask myself, why? Why? I think the idea of vampire bats appeals to me because I'm very nocturnal and I screech a lot. I feel like I make a lot of screeching noises, not all the time, but I do have very, I don't know how to put it. I can make screeching noises, like inhuman bat-like screeches. I feel like the vampire bat suits me. Actually, my current bat design was mostly a joke because I used to have a fox VTuber design, and people would come into my stream and tell me that they'd tell me that they wouldn't be able to tell what kind of creature I was. They'd be like, what are you? Are you a bunny rabbit? Are you a bat? And I was like, fine, I'm a bat. Heck you, for Halloween I'm gonna be a bat, I'm gonna be a vampire bat for Halloween. So I made myself a vampire bat model for Halloween, and then I just liked it a lot, so I kept it. Kept it. Can we get an example? That's a bit embarrassing. It's a bit embarrassing to be asked. maybe if you come to my stream, maybe I'll screech. Maybe I'll screech while I'm stressing out over some art. Most complex rigging you've done? Every new model is usually the most complex rig that I've done. Every new model gets more and more complex. On one hand, it's nice to have a challenge, to take on new challenges, right? But on the other hand, it can be a bit stressful when projects get larger and larger, and it's nice to sometimes take on simpler stuff as well. I think it's about time. So yeah, once again, thank you very much, everybody, for coming. I had a good time showing you all how Live2D works. And yeah, come visit me sometime. I stream usually much later than this. If you are in LA, I think it would be like 10 hours from now is when I usually do my streams. So it would be like in the wee hours of the morning for you probably. So if you are a night owl and you got nothing to do at like 4 a.m., come check me out. Thanks for coming. Okay, I'll see you all later, I guess. Yeah. Bye-bye. Bye.
everyone.
Miss the nitty gritty of live TV.
I don't know, I really like that. You really like to watch the overall.
Yeah. For those of you still here, our next panel is project management tips for VTubers featuring Rita Kanishiro. So yeah, that'll be happening in 15 minutes, but there will be sound check just